Is this the spot? Just stay in the right place, right? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not actually going to be talking a lot about Coca-Cola today, but I'll make occasional references to it. I work for the Taiku in Chinese, and so I'll briefly tell you who they are. The Swire Group is a bit like a Chinese company. It's a family company started by Mr. Swire almost 200 years ago, and the 7th and 8th generation of the family still work in the business. So it goes back to Liverpool in England almost 200 years ago. Swire's been in Asia for 150 years and opened their first office in Taiwan in 1948. The Swire Group is a conglomerate, and it divides into two main areas. What we call the private group, which are the family-owned companies from England, covering a whole range of industries there. I won't go through them, but in many locations around the world, USA, Africa, Pakistan, all sorts of places. Better known in this part of the world is Swire Pacific, which is listed on the Hong Kong stock market and focuses its business mainly on Greater China. Hong Kong, mainland China, and Taiwan. There's 5 divisions: aviation, properties, marine services, industries, and beverages. In Taiwan, our main companies are Taiku Motors, which distributes the vehicle brands mentioned up here, Cathay Pacific and Dragonair, and our soft drink business, the Coca-Cola franchise. We also have some smaller businesses, Swire Travel, and a couple of joint ventures with China Airlines, the catering service at the airport and the laundry business. In Taiwan, our lineup of products for soft drinks is featured in this slide. So sparkling soft drinks that you expect, of course, Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta, Coke Zero, and then a whole lot of other non-sparkling products. Nestea, we've had as a brand for many years, but in the last 4 years we've expanded our range a lot. So Minute Maid juices, Meiliguo, and then our unsweetened tea, Sokombucha, Shuangqian Meicha. And our newest product has just been on the market the last couple of weeks. It's extending the Sokombucha brand into a black oolong. Very, very good product, light oolong taste with a lot of black ingredients, sesame, black bean, etc. Very good for men, but a lot of women seem to be drinking it as well. Before talking about destinations, I'd like to talk about some basics of marketing. I think we can draw some rules from the past, and I'm going to talk about last century because I'm very old, and a lot of my references come from a long time ago, but some of the classic marketing stories and some of the marketing rules that I think we can apply when we think about how to brand a destination, Yilan or anywhere else. This is very generalizing a lot, and someone like Tim with a marketing degree will say I've left a lot of gaps in the middle. But if you look at advertising over the years, there were 3 major trends last century in how did you market something. Originally, USP, unique selling proposition, something that was different about your product. Then in the 60s and 70s, it was all about branding. One sound, build your image. And then from the 80s onwards, it was all about positioning in a very crowded... Okay, we're going dead again. But I think key tests for any advertising or marketing are to be very clear about what your objective is and to be consistent over time. You might change your execution, you might change your messaging, but your strategy needs to be consistent. And you'll see a lot of the successes over the years, a very, very clear strategy for a long time. Starting with a USP proposition. The idea was to say something about your product that no one else could say. So in this case, a super glue, Araldite, if it could stick a car on a billboard, it could also stick teapots. Demonstrate the benefit. Very, very clear. Probably what is the best ever advertising campaign, at least in America, was of course the Volkswagen campaign in the 1960s. Now think about this. The brief, at a time when America was recovering from the Second World War and everyone was driving fast cars, getting bigger and bigger into consumption, they wanted to sell Hitler's car. The Volkswagen was in Germany. They'd just been fighting Hitler 15 years before, and now you want to go to America and say, buy Hitler's car. This is a challenge for an advertising company. And they came up with this wonderful campaign to say, what's different? Well, think small. Instead of the big car, how about the little one that's economical, top quality, delivers great mileage, etc. And they developed the best campaign in advertising history, regarded by, at least judged by many, many people. Today, it's bigger than a Cadillac, and that became very true. Moving on, I mean, a USP is a great idea, but there's only so many ways to build a better mousetrap. You can only find so many points of difference. So then the image of branding, and I'll refer to David Ogilvy as the father of a lot of this thinking. And this is an Ogilvy advertisement for Schweppes. He took a character who happened to be the North American president for Schweppes and made him the spokesman for the brand, and that ran for 15 years on television and in print. And that became a consistent image. So all about building brand image. Now, key words here about brand image. Be consistent over time, build your reputation, build trust, and you must deliver the promise. If you tell lies, people will find out very quickly. So branding is all about being consistent and getting people to trust you over time. I think Coca-Cola is an example that's done that for 126 years. Many, many devices, whether we're using Santa Claus or the polar bear or anything else, a lot of consistency over time to build the brand. The third big school of marketing was, as branding became more difficult, because again, clutter increased, so many brands were me too, was the whole idea of positioning. Consumers are overwhelmed with messages. The challenge was, how do you cut through? How do you relate to what people perceive there in a way that they will remember your product? And this was developed by two gentlemen, Trout and Reese, put the book together about this, and a lot of people have followed that. So examples here, I think the best example of this is Avis, regarded, this is on Ad Age's list of the best 100 campaigns, it was number 10 for the last century. A classic case where the fact they were number 2, Hertz was the market leader by a long way, but they turned being number 2 into the advantage, into the point of difference. And they said, because we're number 2, we have to try harder. So they were positioning themselves against the market leader in a wonderful way. So and the key thing here, they made lots of promises about clean cars and clean ashtrays and filled gas tanks and all that sort of thing, but they sold it to their staff. So again, I'm sorry, pushing wrong buttons here. So again, the clear, important thing here, they sold it to their staff. They went out and presented this campaign to their staff all over North America, got their support and said, we're going to make this promise. You have to help us deliver. And the staff did. So it wasn't just an advertising claim. When you went into an Avis office, that's what you got. What you saw in the advertising was what was delivered. And then you talk about repositioning. Marlboro, the supposedly third best ever advertising campaign, the Marlboro Cowboy. Marlboro was a brand for ladies. Before 1955, it was a cigarette for women. So they totally repositioned it using the cowboy. So that's things that can be done. There's many ways you can build your advertising, build interest. Asia, Taiwan and many other places we use a lot of celebrities. You can use humor, you can use lots of devices, icons, symbols, memorable music, all sorts of things. And you come up with different media options to cut through and be seen. And these days, social media, of course. So lots of new ideas, ways to be seen. We used to talk about word of mouth, spread the word, people would talk about it. These days we say, go viral. You want people to pick up your ad, pick it off YouTube, whatever, and share it with their friends. And that's a classic measure of success, if you go viral. Warning, techniques are great, but let's not forget the objectives. I think many campaigns go wrong because they're entertaining and that's all. They forget to connect back to the brand. They forget to give people a reason to buy. Entertainment is not enough. Your target audience must remember and relate to the brand. think if you look at the best ever viral advertising, if you look at the top 10, number one, 150 million viewings, I think, is the one where the mixer, and it's blend this, and the owner of the company gets things and sticks them in the mixer and crushes them. He did it with an iPhone. He did it with an iPad. And the iPad version got 150 million viewings by itself. And he's made these for years. Now that's sold blenders. Another one that's very, very good, I think, references the Evian commercial, the dancing babies and the roller skating babies. If you see that, it's fantastic. I question whether that relates to the brand. Great entertainment, you'll send it to your friends, you'll say, watch this, but will it make you buy Evian? Question. Over the years, many icons, many symbols, and of course, that one too. And Coca-Cola has many tools, many icons. The special bottle, the colours red and white, the Spencerian, the special script we use on the bottles, the wave, all sorts of things. So we've used icons over the years. So that's some ideas on marketing. Now, I'm getting thirsty. Pause the refreshers. 1928, developed by the Air Agency, rated as the #2 advertising campaign of all time. So let's talk about destination marketing. Luke asked me to give my impressions of Taiwan. I first came here 25 years ago, and so I've interviewed myself for this, I've done research, and this is my impressions of various cities around Taiwan. For Taipei, it's changed over the years from 1987 to now, but that's various impressions. Luke also asked me to think about Yilan. Well, that's my list of Yilan. It's raining, what a surprise. Look outside, we're in Yilan. That's Yilan, typhoons, earthquakes, etc., etc. Catalan whiskey, Lordong night market. We have a sales office in Lordong, so I come to Yilan quite a lot. Played golf at Jiaoqi. You're playing golf at Jiaoqi soon, I think. The IGST is playing there. So Yilan has all these images. I then thought about cities around the world, not where I've lived like Tim, but where I've visited. And cities that I would like to go back to, places. And I just, stream of consciousness, just wrote down all these. These are places I would like to go back to, and a few I haven't been to yet. And then I thought, why? Why are they on the list? What's in common? And here's my drivers for what makes places favourites for me. They've got some history or some atmosphere. There's some sort of attractions, an experience, maybe the nightlife, maybe the golf. In many cases, water, beaches, rivers, lakes are very important in my memory, and that makes the city very special. Food is important, and people are important. Tim talked about food and people earlier on. Destination marketing is a challenge. And I want to talk about food and people. I think you have to be careful about that in your marketing. I don't think that that is enough to get people to come the first time. It's a good memory and it's a reason to come back. But would I fly to Italy for good spaghetti? Now, I don't make the margins that Tim does. Maybe Tim would, but I don't think I would go to Italy. I would go to Italy for the landmarks and the culture and the museums, and to have my pigu pitched on the Via Veneto. And while I was there, I would enjoy the food. After I'd enjoyed the food and the people, I'd remember that and I'd go back. I'm not sure it's a reason to go the first time. And so this is interesting. This is the new campaign from the Taiwan Tourism Bureau. A lot of focus about people and food. I think you have to be careful about that. Is that strong enough? Is that a point of difference? When I think of destination marketing and all the tourism marketing you see, especially around Asia, you see a lot of the same images all the time. Everyone has local friendly people. Everyone has cute animals and beautiful flowers and great food and night markets, and everybody has sunsets. Isn't that amazing? Everywhere in the world has the world's best sunset. Now, my wife takes photos of sunsets, but I really have a problem with that. But you get the same thing all the time. It's like airline advertising. So many airlines, you see the ad, oh yeah. Of course the seats are comfortable. Of course the staff are smiling. You expect them to frown, except on Lufthansa. But I mean, it doesn't make a difference. It's not believable. So which country, after you've seen all those ads, which place was it? Which brand was it? That's the challenge. There's too many that are the same. So go back to my marketing rules, my basics I said at the beginning. When you look at destination advertising, which ones have a unique proposition, only they can offer? Or which ones do a great job of branding? Or which ones have a unique positioning? I think there's some good examples around. Now, Tim used some of the same photos. Some cities have some fabulous icons. And of course, we want a photo of ourselves next to the Statue of Liberty. We'd want to go to the Colosseum, of course. So that helps a lot. Some towns have tried to create icons. And these are from Australia. Around Australia, many, many towns have built huge landmarks. So, the world's biggest pineapple, the world's biggest sheep, the biggest banana, the biggest shrimp, a giant fish, and you get a photograph of yourself and your family standing in front of the landmark. Not bad. And in Australia, actually, it's like you have a bucket list. There's a competition to see how many of these can you go to in 1 year or in your lifetime, and can you tick. There's about 50 of these around the country. How many can you actually go to? Not a bad idea though. You create something. So I was trying to think, what's the answer in Yilan? The world's biggest, don't know. Here's a good dinner conversation. What would you do for Yilan? Great campaigns. I love New York. Started in 1977. Now they've got a slogan, then a song, a TV series, and endless merchandising. And it's so consistent, so consistent over time. The other one that's a more recent one is the one for Queensland, right? The best job in the world. Now this was fabulous. They invested less than $2 million. They got $200 million in free media around the world. I think this is a great example of brand building, and I think this is a great USP, right? The best job in the world. And they won lots of awards, and it was a fabulous success. But my favourite is Sydney. As a piece of, I love the city, but as a piece of marketing, what Tim said earlier, they've got the icons, they've got the USPs. The Opera House, the bridge, the harbour, they're special. But then think how they built the brand. The Olympics in 2000 was a massive advertisement for Sydney. And every New Year's Eve, we watch the fireworks and we say, wouldn't it be great to be there? I've never been there on New Year's Eve, I'd love to. But that's building the brand. And they've been able to do that so well. I think two successes in Asia, and they go back to consistency. Malaysia, truly Asia, they've been running the same campaign since 1999, and I think have done a great job. And similarly, incredible India, 10 years now. Excuse me. And I noticed Christoph has the India promotion, Incredible India, in the hotel. So that's been running a long time. So what have they got in common? Consistency. Long-term strategy, freshen up the execution, but keep saying the same thing. So, in summary, key points I'm trying to make on this. Innovation, excitement, new ideas are essential. Entertainment's not enough. Entertainment can be great, but it's not enough. Think about some of the classical marketing rules. Do you have a unique proposition that you can say and other people can't? Do you have some positioning statement so they remember? Go back to products. M&M's melts in your mouth, not in your hands. Right? That type of something special, some positioning like that. And are you building the brand a trustworthy brand? Is what you're offering the consumer or the visitor, the possible visitor at Yilan, is it something they can relate to? Do they see a benefit there? And that will make them choose your product ahead of others. And I think be careful about sunsets. I'm not sure that sunsets will get them to choose you. And then when people come here, will they get what you advertised? Very, very important. Just like Avis, motivate the staff. If you're going to say something about Elan, you've got to make sure the businesses will support you and that people will generally have that experience and won't be disappointed. And finally, consistent strategy over time. I think that's the key to many successful destinations and to many products over time. So looking at some of the best campaigns ever, the Volkswagen Beetle did what it said. It was economical, it was reliable. Avis did try harder, FedEx did deliver on time, and diamonds do last forever. And Coke is the real thing for the last 126 years. Thank you.